Hello all! I'm back to make additions and corrections to the Mystic Messenger Iceberg video that I released almost a year ago. I totally meant to get this out sooner, but life had other plans. I'll have the Iceberg video as well as all of my sources linked down below. Instead of formatting this video like the Iceberg, I'll be grouping the topics together by how similar they are. Like with my previous video, you can expect major spoilers for Mystic Messenger. I also want to give a content warning for the following topics. Without further ado, let's get into it. Small corrections/updates. Driver Kim, not Chairman Han. Okay, so for some reason, when I was discussing Seiron's after ending, I said that Chairman Han had gone to V's house with the MC, but it was actually Driver Kim. They're both old and are around Jumin a lot, so I get why I made that mistake. Driver Kim supremacy, though. Seven's phone call. During the section where I discussed a sad phone call from 707, I mistakenly said that he is the one to call you, when it's actually an outgoing call. Also, according to the wiki, this call only happens when you play Jumin's route after getting 7's good ending. The only reason I can think of it occurring during Jumin's route is that he and 7 are part of the same game mode, but I feel like it could happen during any of the 5 main routes. But it doesn't. The color of Jumin's heart. In my initial video, I said that his heart was blue, which was met with some disagreement in the comments. The wiki page lists his heart as purple, but his character profile contains an outline that is very clearly blue. This can be linked to his heart since each of the other characters have outlines the same color as their hearts. What do you guys think it is? Also, does this mean Rika's hearts are hypothetically magenta if she were to have a route? Not that I want her to have a route, but if she were to have a route. Little Kitty origin. I briefly mentioned the song Little Kitty, which is performed by the voice actors for V, Yoosung, and Zen. I also said that the song was from a game that was really difficult to find information on. Well, a commenter named Ruff2652 commented the name of the game and that it was a VIP pre-order special song that got leaked. The game's name translates to The Cloud Dream of the Nine and is available in English, Korean, Japanese, and Chinese on Steam. The game was released on December 20th, 2021 and features V and Yoosung's voice actors as the characters Wol and Baeknan. Not sure where Zen's VA went, but check out this game if you like historical-themed dating sims. Larger corrections. Fabricated Cheritz email. This entry refers to an email that was included in my video. In said email, Cheritz essentially debunks claims of 707 being bisexual. Well, turns out that this email was faked and posted to the trivia section of 7's wiki page multiple times, and it had been removed shortly after I released my video. I received a comment from Seam about this issue, which led me to research it further. There's a Tumblr post from Mystic Messenger Editing that debunks the email, citing inconsistencies between this email and other Cheritz emails. It also includes a response about this issue from Cheritz, who has confirmed that the email is faked. The Tumblr post will be linked down below. How V knew the secret organization. A commenter named Wired replied to my video with an explanation for V's involvement with the secret organization that 7 would go on to work for. They linked a phone call from V during Ray's after ending that sheds light on this topic. V explains that a nameless man that wore a mask wanted to buy all of his photos. This man frequently visited the cathedral that V, Rika, and the twins attended. He eventually met Seong and was impressed with the boy's exceptional hacking skills. The man suggested to V that Seong would be safe at the organization if he ever decided to run away, seemingly aware of Seong's difficult home life. V accepted this, believing it to be the safer option for Seong, as the other option would be leaving him to his father's devices. Ultimately, Seong is unsafe as his father and boss team up and torture him in order to get Seiron to come out of hiding. I have to wonder, was this man working with the twins' father all this time? If so, why would he wait until they were older? Why not recruit Seiron as well? Why am I asking so many questions?
I don't know, get off my back.
V's fourth wall break. In my initial video, I claimed that the MC and every love interest, with the exception of V, were able to break the fourth wall. A commenter named WasAt pointed out that V does have a fourth wall break, though it's a bit different from many of the others. During the 10th day of Zen's route, you have the option to ask V if you can all clear this game, and V says, "There's nothing you can't do." This is a very vague response that doesn't really indicate to players if V is aware that he's in a game or not. He could have just been like, "Oh, this bitch is crazy, let me just say whatever." But what if he is intentionally breaking the fourth wall? That would mean that V doesn't care if you reset everyone's memories and erase your relationship with Zen. Perhaps it would give V a second chance. He isn't exactly hopeful about the future in this chat room, saying he can no longer help anyone but that the MC can instead, so maybe he does want a second chance. Poor V. Adding on to topics. Mika created Mintai. This was something I briefly mentioned when I spoke about Rika's childhood, but I didn't say much about it. Mika is a character that only appears in the Rika Behind Story DLC to serve as some kind of secret antagonist. She convinces Rika to help her create Mintai and later creates a rift between Rika and V. Honestly, her addition to the story feels like a lazy way to take the blame off of Rika for the creation of Mintai. Rika still creates and runs Mintai after Mika's death, so how much does it even matter that it was Mika's idea? I feel like her addition was kind of unnecessary, and it would have been better if Rika created Mintai on her own. The awful things that happened to her could have easily paved the way for her to create a cult of paradise. Also, I have an OC named Mika, so it's really weird to talk about the one from the game. Rika and V's promise. A commenter named FM brought up an interesting topic that doesn't get discussed much. At the end of both the casual and deep story routes, there is a story mode, the first with Rika speaking, and the second with an unidentified speaker. In the first story mode, Rika talks about how when her body dies, her soul can move across dimensions, including heaven. While in heaven, souls that fall in love cannot touch each other, so they make a promise to fall in love when they gain bodies on Earth. This is what she believes her relationship with V to be. The second story mode has someone tell a very similar tale, wanting to continue reliving the same love with someone on Earth for all time. It is odd that the name is unavailable, but my first guess would be V, since Rika spoke in the first one. My other guess would be that this is Savior Rika, as her existence would be a spoiler, giving a reason for the name to be censored. This person holds the same beliefs as her, and at this point, she is still obsessed with V. I think Savior Rika is the strongest contender for this speaker, but there are some others I will touch upon later. Is another story a prequel or an alternate timeline? In the Iceberg, I mentioned that it isn't 100% clear whether another story is a prequel to the other game modes or an alternate universe. It's canon that another story takes place 6 months after Rika's death as opposed to 2 years, which is when Casual Story and Deep Story take place. Basically, it's an alternate universe where MC joins the RFA way earlier. To support this, I cited the fact that the wiki page for V's mother stated that she was alive during Casual and Deep Story and dead in another story. It's possible that any mention of V's mother may have actually been about his stepmother, who is mentioned in the RFA Orientation Guidebook. Another piece of evidence is that V's father is stated to be a painter during Casual Story, but is a businessman in another story. All of these inconsistencies prove that another story takes place on a different timeline from the other game modes. Or by the time they were creating another story, Cheritz realized that they didn't like some stuff they established, so they just retconned those things. And when I discussed the prequel theory, I used one of Ray's endings as support. Essentially, the player finds their way to Rika's apartment after a drug-induced sleep. This is the biggest piece of evidence to support the prequel theory because it would mean that the MC awakens at the beginning of the other game modes. But I think the alternate timeline theory has a lot more weight to it. Also, I made a mistake when I said that the MC knowing about the RFA in another story supports the prequel theory. If anything, the MC's fourth wall breaks make it seem like another story is the sequel to Casual and Deep Story. But I think the writers just wanted to give us a chance to mess with the characters. Mystic Messenger, and other Cheritz games. I just want to give a major spoiler warning for other Cheritz games in this section of the video, especially Dandelion and Nameless. Let's get into it. The Sum. So I thought I'd address this game first because I actually made a small error when I talked about it. I had been calling it the Sum instead of the Sum. This game's been out for a while now, and I have to say, it isn't for everyone. As for references to Mystic Messenger, naming yourself after the Mystic Messenger characters gives you numerous achievements. Early in Teo's route, Jaehee and Teo can get their phones mixed up and you get to chat with Jaehee for a bit. Her theme music also plays during this segment. A little while after that, Teo ends up finding Elizabeth III, who seems to have run away again. And after that, Teo ends up working on a show called Muse of Musical, and Zen is one of the celebrity judges. The MC of the Sum can even say that they dated Zen in the past, and Teo mentions that V is a famous photographer. And of course there's Chibi Juman from the Banana Planet. There are a few more references to Mystic Messenger, but these are some of the most notable ones. Some players, dubbed time travelers, have skipped to the final days of the Sum, and there are very heavy and dark references to Mystic Messenger. I'm not going to spoil those because I'm not sure of the full context myself, but let's just say Teo gets a lot more than he bargained for. Something else I wanted to address in this section is that since the Sum and Mystic Messenger take place in the same universe, what does this timeline look like? We can make some educated guesses. Jaehee still works for Juman, and Yoosung is addicted to LOLOL. Seung is unemployed, and Vanderwood seems to be looking for him. Both Zen and V are famous, but V is stated to be missing. Seron wears white, and Ray misses someone very dearly. Disregarding Ray for a moment, this sounds like it takes place during the secret endings. Seven is unemployed because he quit the secret organization, and Vanderwood was sent to track him down. V is missing because he is at Mintai, Seron is wearing white because he's in the hospital, and everyone else is the same as always because the MC didn't pursue them. This would have made so much sense, but Ray had to make my theory fall apart. His description says that he misses someone. Ray isn't present in the secret endings or any route aside from another story. I still think the Sum taking place during the secret endings makes the most sense, given the fact that Seven's ending is implied to be the true ending. Then again, talking to Jaehee, everything seems pretty normal. No imminent danger. Who knows what's really going on? I'm taking a really long break from the Sum for personal reasons and the fact that I got bored. Also, this was definitely not V. The rest of the ideas in this section were supplied by a commenter named FM. V and Vanderwood and Dandelion. FM states that some people believe both V and Vanderwood appear in Dandelion. Let's start with V. There is a CG from the character Jiun's Good Ending where he stands in front of hooded figures. One of these figures bears a striking resemblance to V, which caused many fans to speculate that V can travel between games. As for Vanderwood, some people believe he is the wizard from Dandelion in disguise. This is because they share the same voice actor and wear purple. Honestly, I think the wizard looks more like Zen, but we'll talk about him later. V's stepsister and Eddie. Eddie is the main character of Nameless, and as FM pointed out, she bears some resemblance to V's stepsister, who appears in the RFA Orientation Guidebook. What do y'all think? Are they the same character? Or does Cheritz just like brunettes with yellow eyes? Probably that, to be honest. The twins and Nameless. This theory explores the possibility that Seung and Seron are linked to two of the characters from Nameless. As stated before, Eddie is the main character of Nameless. When she was young, she had a stuffed bear, whom she was very close to. Over time, however, she grew up and abandoned him in a storage closet. Eddie had named the bear, but forgot his name, so he became Nameless. When she was in high school, she became obsessed with realistic, ball-jointed dolls, and one day they all came to life, becoming the love interests in the game. Because her attention was elsewhere, Nameless started to resent Eddie as well as the dolls. After completing the 5 main routes, you unlock the secret endings, which is where you learn about the character, Nameless. All of this sounds very similar to the story of the twins. Though it wasn't his choice, Seong abandons Saron and the latter grows to resent the former, as well as the rest of the RFA. Also, Saron hides behind the name Unknown, and his background is only revealed in the secret endings. Eventually, both Eddie and Nameless and the twins reconcile and share a hug. The Wizard and Mystic Messenger. Finally, the big theory that might connect all of the Cheritz games. Well, not the sum, but you get the point. The Wizard is a character that appears in both Dandelion and Nameless, and he has the power to grant wishes. In Dandelion, the Wizard develops an unhealthy obsession with the protagonist, Heejung, and creates the game. In order to create Dandelion, he finds 5 guys, the love interests, that all have a desperate wish for something. The only catch is that in order to have their wishes granted, they must sacrifice their memories of meeting him. At the end of each route, with the exception of Jiun's, all of the characters are taken away from Heejung, and she is forced to ask the Wizard to grant her wish of seeing them again. This, of course, erases her memory of the time spent with the Wizard, but she reunites with her love interest once more for the good ending. The Wizard keeps resetting the timeline in order to see Heejung for as long as he can, which weakens his powers. He comes to terms with the fact that he can only be with Heejung if he makes the wish to do so. So, in the true ending, the Wizard wishes to meet Heejung in another world where they can finally be together. As for Nameless, the Wizard doesn't play as big of a role, but it's still worth discussing. After being abandoned by Eddie, Nameless desperately wishes that she would remember his name. This wish is granted by the Wizard, who sympathizes with Nameless, since both of them have an obsession with a woman they can't pursue. Granting this wish requires that Eddie falls in love with each of her dolls and collects their hearts to make her own complete. The Wizard turns each of these dolls into humans, and after playing each route, Eddie loses her memories of the previous love interest. Despite this, she still retains a piece of their hearts that she gained. After playing each of the main routes, she is finally able to remember Nameless, and the Wizard returns to the world of Dandelion. Also, the events of Dandelion and Nameless are implied to take place at the same time because of the Wizard's energy use. He is granting the wishes of the characters from both games, which is why he became so weak towards the end of Dandelion. Now, how does all of this connect to Mystic Messenger? 707 is theoretically the Wizard. Now, there's obviously some differences between the two, but they're also pretty similar. For one thing, both characters have made it explicitly clear that they are aware of the resets. Though resetting is a much bigger mechanic in the other games, it is still notable in Mystic Messenger. In Dandelion, the Wizard loves Heejung no matter which route she's on, and the same can be said for Seven. In one chat room, Seven even says that he is accessing Wizard mode, and tells the player, "Don't go over to reality." In Mystic Messenger, Seven is heavily implied to be the true love interest, so maybe he created the game in order to pursue the MC. Heck, the Wizard seems to have a thing for yellow-eyed brunettes. I know we don't technically see the MC's eyes, but this profile pic hints that they might be yellow. Maybe the reason Seven tells the MC not to go to reality is because he knows they can only be in a relationship in the fictional world he's created. Remember when I said that the Wizard takes every love interest away from Heejung except for Jiun? And which Mystic Messenger character most resembles Jiun's white hair and red eyes? That's right, Zen. Jiun is able to avoid being taken from Heejung because of his gift of prophecy. Zen also has this gift, but isn't able to perform it at will, with the predictions coming in the form of dreams instead. As stated in my first video, Zen dreams that he and the other characters are robots programmed to say things. He also dreams about the kidnapping of the MC and Elizabeth before they happen. There's also the April Fool's DLC where Zen is convinced that you and he are from different worlds, yours being the real world and his being the fictional one. To tie this theory together, 707 is a wizard that grants wishes and creates games in order to be with the one he loves, or to help another be with the one he loves. Zen is a prince from another world that is aware of his reality and his future. Both can never have what they want because the MC will always play another route, and Zen's memories will be reset. Both come to realize that you are a part of a different world and they cannot truly be with you. So, how does this theory hold up? While it is very interesting and has a lot of support, there are some flaws with it. Perhaps the biggest is that we see Zen and Seven's childhoods. Sure, it's possible that the wizard took away Zen's memories and granted his wish to be with the MC, but that doesn't account for Seven nor the other characters. If anything, I think it's a really creative nod to their previous games. There's one more thing I want to point out. Earlier, I mentioned a story mode from the Deep route that has an anonymous person wishing to relive their love with someone else. Could this person be the wizard? I think that's very possible since the wizard is able to reset timelines and wishes to only be with Heejun. Though, that being one of the only solid connections to the other games feels pretty weak. What do you guys think? Random fun fact before we jump into the darker stuff. Did you know that Cheritz has mascots? I did, but I didn't know that their names were Cherry and Ritz. Hey, wait a second. C and R. C and R.
Skip. But when does this game get fucking good?
The Abyss. I know I said I wasn't going to format this video like the first part, but I just had to call this final section The Abyss for dramatic effect. Why do we remember Yu-sung's suicide? I had received a lot of comments from people who played the game when it first came out, insisting that the Yu-sung suicide ending does exist. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. While it can't account for everyone, I believe that some people may be referencing a video called El Suicidio de Yu-sung, which is an edit of the Day 5 casual story ending. I'm gonna play this video, but it's obviously in Spanish, so I'll do my best to translate after it plays. The video contains creepy imagery, glitching, and a jump scare, so I'll include a timestamp for those who want to avoid it. Let's watch. In this first part, Yusung texts the RFA that he will see Rika soon and hopes he can see the player there too. We then see 707 frustrated that Yusung doesn't answer his calls before he starts to suspect that Yusung will do something drastic. He thinks about talking to the RFA before the screen glitches while displaying the message, "There is a tragedy." Yusung tells Rika that he will finally be able to see her and says, "Just wait for me," before hanging himself. Zen, Jumin, Jaehee, and 707 enter the room and are horrified to see their friend's dead body. Jaehee is in disbelief, 707 blames himself, and Jumin calls the police. What a fun, silly video. It reminds me of all those fan-made creepypasta videos, and I really like that Mystic Messenger is popular enough to have one. But what was the point of showing this video to you guys? Well, maybe to convince some of you that Yusung's suicide was never in the game. That believing this ending was in the game is a combination of not only multiple canon endings, but also fan-made content. A lot of you are very insistent that this dark ending was once in the game, and I really want to believe in something as crazy as that, but I don't. I'm gonna need some real proof instead of memories, which are very unreliable. This topic also relates to the next one. There was a beta game. So this is a bit of a weird entry. It's a little different from the others because it's based almost entirely off of a deleted comment from my video. I got an email notification for a comment on my Iceberg video, but it was nowhere to be found under my actual video. They must have deleted the comment, but I did take a screenshot of the email notification. The commenter speaks about how they and their friends were playtesters for Mystic Messenger. They were permitted to look for bugs, give feedback on translations, and the like because they had played Dandelion. The testing occurred approximately 1 week before the release of Mystic Messenger. On the playtesters' phones, an Android package was downloaded that loaded the game onto a random day from a random route. Much of the other content was locked away as the playtesters weren't meant to access every feature before the official release. Though the commenter said they weren't allowed to expose all of the information about this playtesting, they were able to disprove something: the alleged Yusung suicide ending. The commenter's friend ended up as a playtester for Yusung's route and chose the worst dialogue options. This friend got the bomb ending as well as a CG of Yusung crying, allegedly because Yusung realized the MC wasn't Rika. The commenter, along with their friends, did not encounter an ending where any of the characters commit suicide. The friend that playtested Yusung's route said that the CG of Yusung crying is actually the one from the opening sequence. He also said that upon playing Yusung's route again, the CG had been removed. In the Iceberg video, I showed a tweet that I made about the situation and mentioned the crying CG. It's nice to see that I didn't just pull that out of my ass and other people have actually heard about it. Though a comment isn't exactly a trustworthy source, I do find it interesting and worth discussing. Even though Cheritz had previously denied the existence of a beta game, it does seem to have existed, though it wasn't terribly different from the final product. I wasn't completely satisfied with ending this topic here, so I have one more surprise. I emailed Cheritz. Also, the date on the email is months ago because I wanted to get this video out sooner, but I had a lot of personal things going on. In my email, I said, "Hello Cheritz, I'm a very big fan of Mystic Messenger and make my own videos about the game. I have been curious about something for a long time. Why do so many players remember an ending where Yusung commits suicide? I figured I'd go straight to the source and ask why this is. Was there ever an ending where Yusung does this, or plans to make one? Many say that this ending is from a beta or demo version of the game, which I have been told doesn't exist. Any information on these topics would be very much appreciated. Thank you." Cheritz responded by saying, "Hello, this is Cheritz customer support. Thank you for your inquiry. There are no endings in which Yusung commits suicide. We suspect that 1. He was mistaken for another character, 2. His actions in casual common route bad ending were mistaken as such, and 3. His actions in bad ending 1 were mistaken as such. We hope that the above information helped. Thank you. We hope you have a lovely day. Best, Cheritz. So, is this enough of a confirmation that this ending has never existed? Can we finally let Yusung's suicide rumors rest? I will say, it's very interesting that Cheritz didn't respond to my questions about there being a beta game or not. So maybe there really was one. I'm more willing to believe a beta game existing than Yusung's suicide being in the game. However you feel, this is a topic I'm really interested in looking into further. If any of you were a playtester, I encourage you to leave a comment about your experience. I hope I was able to clarify and remedy some of the issues with my Iceberg video. If you have new information about anything on my Iceberg, or you think I missed something, please don't hesitate to comment. I don't have any plans to make a third part, but I might if there's enough new information. Probably not, though. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Drink water, too. My Instagram is linked below if you want to give me a follow, and thanks for watching. Till next time.